Good morning, everybody. It's Positive Tuesday today, June 20th, 2023. For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden, and you're watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. With nearly 20 years of experience, this locally owned and operated business has provided quality work both on the inside and on the outside of your home or business. Like Fitzy and I, they believe that it's the little things that make a big difference. So give Brian a call today. The phone number is right there on the screen, 715-520-2271. Fitzy, today is National American Eagle Day. Wow. Have you ever seen a bald eagle up close?
Well, yeah, we've captured them here and kept them for the Raptor Center. So I've seen them up close in our cages here.
Really?
Yeah.
Are they freaky looking? Because the pictures, when you look up close, they look intimidating.
Oh, they're intimidating. Yeah, but they're beautiful, and it's National Ball. Well, we should all stand up and salute or something.
Yeah, I feel like it at this point. We probably should. And I don't know if they're smart or not, but the other day I had a bird fly in our garage, through a side door, and then it was stuck in the rafters for a day and a half. And I left the garage door open, the side door, and it would just come down, run into the walls, and then fly back over to the rafters. So I don't know what kind of bird it is. It was a bird. But if that is any indication of the intelligence of all birds, I'm not impressed. Not very smart. Just saying. All right, so we have a ton to get to this morning. There's 3 or 4 press releases from you. I had a couple of articles. Hopefully we're going to be able to get through all of it. Good morning, Heather and Stacy as well, and anyone else that is watching. So you know what? Let's take our sports questions, which we usually do, because we want to kind of start something positive. We'll put that at the end of the show. I know we have a hard cutoff time at 9:10 this morning. So if we have time, we'll get to those. But I do want to start off something positive. So maybe we'll talk about, how our week was first. But we should also announce we're going to try something a little bit different this morning in terms of our ticket giveaways. So every time you comment, that your name, randomly will just, it counts as like an entry into a potential to win a ticket to Freedom Music Fest, which is coming up. Jeepers, not this Saturday, but next Saturday already, right?
Yeah, it's 11 days, 8 hours, 27 minutes, and 54 seconds away. That's kind of like the Bald Eagle. Freedom Music Fest is kind of like the Bald Eagle.
Oh, my goodness. Nice.
They've got some pretty good things planned, but it's 11 days, 8 hours away. We'll be jamming away.
Nice. Well, and if you don't know what to comment, good morning, Stacy and Tiffany and Heather, they put in good morning. If you don't know, just put in Freedom Music Fest or hashtag Freedom Music Fest WI, or just, throw something in. Do we want to do all 4 at the end? That's what we've done in the past. Should we do something different this time just to mix it up?
Sure. I've got my number counter out. I'm all prepared today. It's not like I'm...
You know what? You're a little blurry. I bet you didn't actually switch over. I
did. I'm looking. I did everything. I am a little blurry, though. Wonder why.
Oh, I don't know.
I disconnected everything that I can think of.
Uh-oh. Now you're frozen.
All right.
Oh, good night. Oh, boom.
There.
And we're back.
There.
All right.
It's not my fault. All right, we better get going here.
You want to give away a ticket right away?
Sure. How many comments
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
8?
Yeah.
Random generator
is...
Why doesn't it go? Oh, there.
4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Renee just won one. Oh. Okay, Renee, if you want to keep that ticket, well, shoot, that's right. We said last week you can win multiple times. So Renee, you've won. However, we should put in you can't win twice in the same day. How about that?
There you go.
So the next one, then we'll go to that. So Renee, you already won another Jeepers.
Now she can take a date.
There you go. Take a date. Bunny, how have you not purchased one? Chris is always blurry. I can just sit in comments all day. All right. So we have several things to get to. But first, how was your week? Let's start with something positive. How was your week?
Well, great. I had a great weekend, minus the incident on Sunday night. But had dinner with my daughter in Eau Claire and had supper with Jace. And so spent time just relaxing a little bit. And so it was awesome. So how was yours?
It was good. Uncle Al came up. Oh, and I see Dad was already on this morning, so he was there as well. It was great. We had a family reunion on Saturday, so everyone came up. Uncle Al was up here from Chicago. He's been on our show before. Law enforcement, 43 years. My sister and everybody was all up. I got to see my grandkids on Saturday. But, there's one takeaway. One of my favorite moments was on Friday night. Dad came up around 4 o'clock. Uncle Al was here. And then Dave Wilson. I'm not ready. Dave Wilson. He came over as well. So the four of us sat in the garage for like 2 hours and just talking. And believe it or not, and I know you're not going to believe this, I actually didn't do almost any talking. I actually just watched and observed. This is like, we figured out, it's 108 years of law enforcement experience. Someone in their 50s, someone in their 60s, someone in their 70s. And I just watched and observed. It was like an ad hoc committee that solved all the problems for law enforcement. It should be it should be like a law enforcement committee subcommittee, what that was. It was brilliant watching the respect that they have for each other and for law enforcement. It was just fantastic. It was probably my favorite part of the whole week.
Awesome.
Yeah. You should have been there.
I should have been there. Yeah.
You should. I was going to ask you, but I figured you were going to be busy because you had so much going on.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll do another ticket giveaway here in a little bit, I think. But, we really should probably get to some of these press releases and articles. Let's start that right after a message from Spooner Health. We'll be back in 15 seconds.
Satisfaction surveys and in conversations with patients, they appreciate the fact that staff got to know them. Staff really took their preferences into account, and they just feel grateful that they are being cared for as a person.
To learn more about our services, visit spoonerhealth.com.
All right, so you had, for the fourth week in a row now, there has been an incident on a Sunday night. It's always Sunday night, it seems, that you end up putting out a press release on Monday, and yesterday's this was our headline, not yours. Barron County shooting. Woman fatally injured. Man found dead in apparent suicide. Sounds like a tragedy. Obviously, it's an ongoing investigation. But what can you tell us about that? Or maybe even starting with people who aren't aware of what happened. What happened and what can you tell us?
Yeah, it was another tragic event for our team to handle. Some family members, lots of families were affected by this again. We got called to a house between Chetek and New Auburn, closer to New Auburn. And for what we were told were two people possibly deceased in the house. EMS and fire got there, and one person, the male, was deceased. The female had medical attention rendered to her. She was actually taken to a Bloomer Hospital, flown to another hospital where she later passed away. Ultimately, the investigation is still open, but as I stated, I think he was 38, she was 37. I don't have that press release in front of me. He died of what appears to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound, and she died of a gunshot wound. So that's where we know. He had a no contact to be there from a previous incident. And there's a lot of discussion out on the Facebook world about that and about domestic abuse and no contacts. And I can tell you that it was a couple weeks ago that this incident happened. A lot of people said he should have been in jail. And, people don't realize how many domestics we have over a weekend. And if we were to keep everybody in jail that had a domestic abuse, and the serious ones are kept in jail. I mean, there's no question about it. We have, what I would consider and it wasn't our case, in our jail. I don't know nothing about the case. We have a person that's in there on a high cash bond because of a domestic abuse situation.
Real quick, I can't. That's so interesting you brought that up.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the same person, but we don't typically do stories on domestics simply because there's so many of them.
Right.
We'd be doing, holy cow, a lot. It's unfortunate that there's so many. But there was one in Barron County that caught my attention. So we requested the complaint, and hopefully that story will be up this week. Because it was a high cash bail or a bond that was set of, it was $25,000. So I don't know if it's the same one. But that's what caught my attention. I'm like, that's a really high amount. So I feel like I kind of want to look into this more. So we got it requested. So yeah, I was really surprised. And maybe that's always what they are, but I don't usually see a $25,000 cash bond set for on a domestic. So if you're referring to the same one, we'll actually have that story up sometime this week.
Right. And I'm pretty sure we're referring to the same one. But and I get it. Every domestic is bad, but
Yeah.
and maybe this will raise awareness again. And we always have to have something bad to raise awareness. And you and I always look for the good in this. And we have our St. Clair Valley Sexual Assault Response Team that handles this, our Embrace team that handles this, and they work with these people on a daily basis. And they try to help them. And I get it. It's just a piece of paper. And that's what a no contact is. It's just a piece of paper. And we do take people to jail for this. And when they violate no contacts and again, a definition of a no contact. And again, that's why we do this show. So we can go into this, not to this case, but in general, again, we're talking that has nothing to do with this case, this tragic case in general. Just because you and I have a no contact with each other and I drive by your house, that sometimes doesn't mean that it was contact. You live on a city street, you can drive by. So, but third party contacts, different kind of contacts, that's what we investigate. And sometimes they're hard to prove and get a conviction. I don't like it. I don't like talking about this stuff, but we have to continue to talk about it. I think the system did everything they were supposed to do in this case, in this specific case, or at least what I know about it, they did. The person was charged 2 weeks ago with domestic abuse. He bonded out. He had restrictions on his bond, and a tragedy happened. I don't know if anyone could have stopped this. I have no idea. That's what our team will figure out to see if there's, something that we know. But that's why we ask people to call in, to report things, to help people report things. You don't always have to go to law enforcement to report domestic abuse. You can go right to Embrace. You don't have to go to a cop. Maybe you don't trust cops. You don't like cops. That's okay. Go get help. Walk somebody down to the local sheriff's department, police department, Embrace, wherever you want to go. Walk them down. Get them the help they need. Get them out of the situation. One time is too many for a domestic abuse. I've said that my whole career. One time is too many. So, there also was a 15-year-old girl that was in this residence at the time. She was not harmed or injured in any way. But that's a tragedy for her to see. It's a tragedy for law enforcement and our medical and our fire, again, to see this tragedy every Sunday night. It started with Memorial Day weekend it was a Monday night, but the end of the weekend. And then it was the ATV accident. And then it was a stabbing. And then it was a deer car or motorcycle deer. And then it was this. And, it's that, that's why we created peer support teams. That's why we do all of the things that we do. And that's why we need the support of law enforcement or for law enforcement. Our guys and gals have seen some just in the last month. You just take the last month. They've seen some bad stuff. And that support that you guys give us for law enforcement is what it's about. We'll continue to support you and do the things that we need to do. But yeah, it was just.
Do you agree with this? Not enough resources. Now, whatever that resources means, is this, and you just got talking about, because we always try to, I think it's just our temperaments and our personalities. It's not, which is like a good thing and a bad thing of the stereotypical husband. Wife comes home and this is just like the stereotype and what people, usually refer to. Wife comes home, complains about work. And sometimes as a husband, you just shut up and listen and say, oh, dang, that sucks. But usually we're wired to, okay, how can I fix this?
Right.
So is there a fix to it? Is it preventable? You've already touched on it a little bit. Is it resources? Is there a way to do this other than having a cop sit in front of everybody's house in the entire county?
Right. I am frustrated. How can I help? I don't know the answer to that. And if I did, I think we'd all be millionaires. Do I think there's enough resources? Yes, I think there is. I don't think that people either know how to access them, and we're working on that. I, in fact, have a 10 o'clock meeting today to talk about accessing resources and make sure people know, and it has nothing to do with, again, domestic abuse. I mean, that's one topic, but it's how to access, mental health services and domestic abuse resources and food resources and housing resources. And do we do a good enough job of that? And that's actually, I have the 10 o'clock meeting on that. So I think there are resources available. I don't think people utilize them or maybe even know about them. And so maybe we need to continue to promote that.
So awareness is a start.
awareness and supporting each other and just saying, hey, Ben, your wife hits you all the time. You got to come and stay with me.
Yeah, someone had asked in here, like, what can we do to help? I'm sorry, there's a comment, and I don't want to spend so much time reading the comments that I'm not listening to what you're saying, but so I'm just reading like the first couple words of each comment. But someone had asked something about that. So what can we as a community or as a society do to help? To help not just law enforcement, but to help those that are going through something like this?
Yeah, it's
be aware. Is that it? Just be aware. And do you recommend talking to the person? Obviously, that's going to be unique to the situation. If you know the person, if it's your brother or if it's your sister or something, rather than your neighbor that you don't really know that well. I don't know. But what can they do? Do they talk to them, you think? Do you really want to be the person that calls mental health and has someone come out? And does that go well? Like, what do you do?
Right. And there's a yeah, I don't know. And because, that can create more problems sometimes in the relationship if you're asking for help. Do you have, I know, I get it. If I knew the answer, I would do it. I don't know that people are waiting for months for help. People also have to want help. There's situations where wives don't want to leave husbands. Drug dealers don't want to go get help. I'm not saying, again, it has nothing to do with the incident we're talking about, just in general.
Yeah.
People sometimes don't want to get help. They don't feel that they can support themselves without the income of the other person in a domestic abuse situation. It always comes down to sometimes money and sometimes kids. And I understand both of those. And you have to get me on that. That's where people can help. Don't worry about money. Don't worry about, you can stay in my basement as long as you want. I know it's hassle, it's trouble, but better than going to the alternative and something bad happening. So, I love I can't even read all the comments. It's crazy today.
Yeah. And this doesn't really tie into so Dan Erickson actually has a question in here. I want to get onto some other stuff. And although this does not directly tie into what we're talking about, I think the reason that I asked this question does, in a weird way, kind of tie in, but not specifically, more indirectly. What do you think of red flag laws? So I think where this is kind of being tied in, and Dan, I don't mean to speak for you, but what I got out of that was kind of who do you call when there's a mental health or if there is a situation somewhere, kind of like a red flag law, but that's, of course, referring to guns. Do you have a view or opinion of red flag laws? I think Minnesota just passed that as well. I think all the states except for Wisconsin around us have that now.
Yeah.
There's goods and bads.
I think there is. I think there's probably some goods to having them and at least removing guns for a short period of time until the judge gives you them back under some mental health things. I think Ron said something about fix the mental health issues we have. I agree. He knows he's working on that too. He knows we're trying to do everything we can. We're putting, we had a call this morning that the person keeps continuing to call our dispatch center, and it has maybe some mental health issues. I don't know the exact terminology of what's going on, but they can care for themselves. They can live on their own. If they don't want help, I can't make them get help. That's frustrating for all their chiefs and law enforcement. That's frustrating for our social workers that go out there and handle these calls. If people can care for themselves, I don't know. I had a conversation with somebody this week about animals. And some people love animals and some people like them and don't, but some people treat them better than they treat their own kids. And when somebody else doesn't treat their animal the same way they do, they get frustrated and say that's animal abuse. Well, no, they're not abusing it. And so it's no different than maybe I let my kids play in the front yard without shoes on. And you say, well, that's dangerous because they might step on a rock and it might cut their foot. So they should have shoes on. There's different theories out there, and none of those are illegal. Letting your kids run in the grass without shoes on, not letting your animal outside. People have different opinions of it, and so it's very frustrating for law enforcement because we want to make sure that the animal or the kid or whoever's taken care of. But if they don't want help, they don't ask for help. People on meth. We've talked about meth 100 times on this show. If they don't ask for help and they don't want help, we can give them all the help they want. People can get help for meth today. They don't have to wait for months. Now, and whoever said that is somewhat right. They do have to wait some time for months, but we can get them and able them to talk to somebody today. I can't probably put them in a treatment facility today. So I agree that there's probably some delay in some services. At some times, there's some probably delay in services. But I can guarantee you Embrace or whoever else will come to your house today, or you can meet with someone to talk about restraining orders or domestic abuse or start the process to move out of a situation. You don't have to pick everything up today and move out. And sometimes we think that, just as you said, sometimes we want to fix the problem. Well, sometimes it's just listening today and slowly moving towards a solution. And, we have resources available to do all of that. But if we could fix the mental health problem, it'd be great. But there's no great answer for that. We're trying to speed up the process from a law enforcement standpoint. We have a team working on that. There's lots of stuff we're doing. Sometimes we're spinning our wheels. But I'll go back to just making sure everybody knows that there's services out there, who to call, when to call, and just offer help and advice.
Are we asking are we putting this on law enforcement? Not blame. I'm not looking at that part in terms of what could law enforcement have done. If there's something that law enforcement can do better, I know you and, of course, Tracy Finch, and these are the people, and the Brent Walks, they're trying, hey, if we can do something better. But, let's face it, law enforcement, for the most part, really has always been designed to be reactive. You have to commit a crime first before we can do something, right? It's not like, what was that movie, the one with Tom Cruise, like they could figure out when someone's going to do a crime or something. It's not really how that works. Is this something that it's law enforcement is going, yeah, but we're limited because we are a law enforcement agency on what we can do proactively. Mm-hmm. This is almost like other departments. Don't you have like I don't know what HHS does. I really don't. So is it more on that or the other organizations? If you get negative feedback from people saying, how come this and why didn't you and why didn't you and why didn't you? Do you look at this and go, yeah, but we did everything that we were allowed to do and did everything that we should have done, not just allowed. We didn't do the bare minimum. We did what we're supposed to do, but that's all we can kind of do. Is this kind of all being put on law enforcement?
Well, I don't think just law enforcement. I don't think so, but I think we become the center of attention because when someone thinks they want help and as Stacy put on her, helping can hurt the victim even more sometimes. And I agree. That's why the victim has to drive the bus. And I don't think you use the word victim anymore. I think we're supposed to use some other word. I think
survive. I don't know. Sometimes there are just actual victims, but I understand. We want to be sensitive to the wording, but if we're saying something inappropriate, we don't mean to.
It's not. Don't put us on CNN.
Please not, please.
So, and I think we have to laugh a little bit because these situations, not at the situation, just because of the mere pressure of trying to solve this. Hey, if I could solve domestic abuse or mental health, I'd go out there and do it today. If I could solve the drug problem, we'd go do it today. So this is just, I don't know, but the victims or survivors have to be the person that have to say yes or no, because they have to live with the consequences. And we don't mean to interfere and do that from a law enforcement standpoint. Sometimes we can work it out and people can go on their way and they're happy, but law enforcement needs to learn how to approach mental health. You can have them committed Chapter 150. Yeah, well, I think we do know how to handle mental health. I think it changes on a daily basis. I think we can, that's why we put a social worker inside the sheriff's department and try to take him on calls to make sure that we're doing it. But Chapter 51s aren't just cut and dry. Like I said,
what's a Chapter 51 for those other people that may not know?
That's a commitment. You can't care for yourself or others or have a harm of self of others.
Okay.
And under a Chapter 51, it's least restrictive services. So if you all of a sudden, let's just use me. I'll use me. If I said I'm going to commit suicide today, but and Ron's right, the expectations are high with law enforcement. He's exactly right.
If you want to commit suicide today,
and law enforcement gets called, we show up there, and I decide that you're going to take care of me. You're my friend. You're willing to work with me until, maybe it's 6 o'clock tonight and there's really nothing's open. There's no services. I can't just walk into the human services because they're closed. But it's least restrictive. If you put in a safety plan where you say, hey, there's no guns, there's no knives, I'll be at my house all night, and he can stay in my couch and that's fine. We don't get to make that determination as law enforcement. Human Services or our mental health call line, our Northwest Connections call lines tells us safety plan and I can go to your house. Or they'll say, you know what, there is no good safety plan for him, or I really want to commit suicide, that needs a mental health commitment, then we do a Chapter 51. So we have a hotline. Every one of our law enforcement people call, no matter if you work for the city or the county. And then if we do a mental health commitment, if I say I'm committed, then I have to go do a medical evaluation on myself, or I don't. The cop takes me to the hospital and does a medical evaluation. It takes 2 to 4 hours, and then I get transported, and we don't have enough facilities. So I would agree with somebody said waiting list for things. Our closest facility is probably 4 to 5 hours away down by Madison or over by Oshkosh, or is our closest. Sometimes Eau Claire has room, but a lot of times they're full. So we have to go to the state facility. And so it can be a 10-hour trip. And then, sometimes alcohol and drugs are a factor. And when I sober up, I'm like, I was never going to kill myself. But I said it. And so that's frustrating for law enforcement. We just wasted overtime, whatever it was. And I don't mean wasted.
No, but no, that totally, it all goes together. Again, this isn't that dissimilar, even though it was more hyperbole, of course, when I said the only way to really solve everything is just to put a cop in front of everybody's house. Like a taxpayer cop should just be your bodyguard for every single person in Barron County. That's 45,000 people. Well, that's not realistic. You have to kind of work within the limits of all of this. And by wasted, I know what you meant. And that is, we don't have, I think you actually just got 2 more deputies, I think finally approved. Yay, good for you. But yeah, that takes resources. That takes time, and that's taxpayer dollars. And then if you have someone that is gone for 10 hours, what were they supposed to be doing? Was that someone you took off the road? That means you have to have someone else fill in, or did you have to call someone else to do that? And is that overtime? And it's okay. That adds up. It's like those longer investigations that you talk about. It's no longer these one-day investigations. Some of these investigations last months. Right. So it takes a long time to get through all of those things.
And I'm not saying it's too much work. So
no, it's not that at all. No.
Explaining the process. We will do it all day long. Call as many people as we need to. I'm just saying sometimes the person is on the other end. It beats us back from the hospital before we get back because they get released from the hospital 6-8 hours later. We just spent 10 hours transporting them because they really, it's a frustrating system.
It is because each one of these. We're just talking about a domestic and a transport for someone in mental health, and that is a huge topic, and it's absolutely something that is very important in the front of your mind. And this stuff we have to take care of. And who cares about the overtime? I mean, right. You say that, but of course, at some point, someone like the board or whomever is going to. But it's not about that. This is just one aspect of law enforcement. Now we have an investigation into something else that requires all of this time, energy, and effort. So I believe that what I was hearing was just a statement of these things take time. And there's a lot that goes into it from just the law enforcement part, which really was what I was asking before. I know that you guys have to play your role in this, but what are the other sources? And it sounds like that there are other resources out there for people. And I think I saw someone had commented earlier about you may want to call a hospital or something like that. Is that the route to kind of go? And if you're in these situations and you want help, do you call the police? Obviously, I think that would depend on how. Do you feel like your life is being threatened and you're not going to? I don't know if anybody could ever give advice to someone, because I wouldn't want to tell someone, oh, no, don't call the cops. Because maybe in this situation, in your situation, at that moment, that is the best decision to make. But how do you know? Because each situation is unique. You can't just put it all under one umbrella and just say, this is what everyone should do. Step 1, step 2, step 3. I don't think it works that way.
And we've trained all of our nurses. Sexual assault, we haven't even talked about that topic, and that gets thrown in here too. Yeah. You can go to the hospital and get help and not have to report it to law enforcement. There's protections in place. Our nurses at all of our hospitals are trained in this. You don't have to report your sexual assault to law enforcement, but go get help for it, both physically and mentally. and you don't ever have to tell law enforcement. Do I want you to? Yes. As a cop, I want you to tell. I want to go get the bad guys in the world. That's my job. I will work all day and all night to go get the bad guys and help people. But we have to know about it to do something. And I agree. Sometimes cops are not the answer. I will stand up and shout it from wherever you want me to shout it from. Sometimes we're not. But we do get a lot put on our plate, and we're handling it. And we will continue to support the community and do what we can. We need some help. I hope we've raised some awareness today, and we're going to continue to raise awareness. There's a lot of groups or committees people can join to be part of this in Barron County. I don't know about other counties, but yeah, our DHS does a great job. Our highway does a great job. Everybody does a great job of working together to get the job done here. And if somebody doesn't like the answer they got when they called dispatch, let me know, because we're not perfect at our jobs either. I'm not saying we handle every situation exactly right, but we do our best that we can. I think we do a great job. I think we're there for the victims or survivors, whatever you want to say. I think we do a good job, and we just need to keep raising awareness. One time is too many. It's not okay to hit somebody. It's not okay to be involved in domestic sexual assault, drugs, whatever it is. We've got a team here ready to go to war with you to win the battle. That's what you pay us to do, is to win. And that's what we'll continue to do.
All right, so we have a hard cutoff at 9:10. We only have like 8 minutes left here, which is great. That's perfectly fine, I think. And I'm glad that we actually spent more time on this and didn't get through the rest. So we probably won't announce the 3 winners. So when we're finished here at Fitzy, then you just roll it 3 times, and then I'll go back through and count everything, and I'll post that within a few minutes. But so you're basically going to have like 1 minute here, Fitzy, to give me your response to the following 4 other press releases and articles.
Okay.
All right. So this was a press release you sent out. Our headline was "Convicted Sex Offender Philip Vaughn to be released in Barron County on Tuesday." So that would be today. Anything you want to add to that?
No, that's just a strictly an awareness. He's not wanted. This is strictly something the law permits law enforcement to do, is to, again, raise awareness. That's really what we're talking about. And, guys know I love to raise awareness. I love to go to PR events. I love to do different things. I love to go out and talk to people. And everybody's like, why do you go to so much stuff? I'm like, because we learn so much stuff. We just went to the Bear Lake Association the other day and talked about some different things, from ATVs to boating. But once in a while we learn about a complaint here, a speeding complaint, or this complaint, or something that we can maybe stop the next tragedy from happening. And that's what I want our guys and gals out there doing, is preventing stuff. And so this is just to raise awareness. I'm going to meet with a campground today about some sex offenders that live in a house that's near a campground. It doesn't violate any laws, but a lot of these people are on GPS that we send it out. They can't. Sometimes they maybe not be able to go in their front yard. I don't know about in this case. Again, in general, probation and parole and GPS can say, you know what, there's too many houses to the front yard. You can only be in your backyard. You can walk out your front door to get in your car, but that you can't sit in your front yard in the lawn chair. You can only sit in your backyard because you have a fenced in backyard, or whatever it is. So this is strictly to raise awareness and to put people, just let them know information so they can make the best decision that they want to make.
Got it. You had mentioned earlier, and this was I think it was a press release from you guys. I didn't double check this morning. Our headline was "Deer Collision Results in Fatal Motorcycle Crash in Barron County."
Yeah, that one is just another tragic event, and a deer and a motorcycle. I mean, there's nothing. There's no other factors in that one. It's just a tragic accident.
I know, and this is why I've been asked, like with kids that said, have you ever had a motorcycle? Did you ever get one? And it's no, honestly, because I look at it as, if I hit a deer, because there's a lot of deer in our area, in anything I'm driving, I want to know that I have a better likelihood to walk away than the deer does. And I'm not trying to make light of a situation of somebody dying in this. I'm just saying that's what scares the snot out of me about motorcycles, is that what if I hit a deer? It's a 50-50 chance who's living. I don't know, and that just scares me. So, oh my goodness. It's horrible, and I don't know. It's I hate when it's just like a randomness of life thing. When the guy wasn't doing anything wrong, but from what you're saying, right? He wasn't high or something. Just been on a motorcycle, and a deer jumps out and dead.
Yeah, and
And what do you do after that? It's like, wow, we can't do anything different. Oh, I hate those. Real quickly, then, these are 2 insider articles. There was a man's competency assessed multiple times. Court accepts guilty plea, orders sentence. This was for a Zachary Veach or something of Cumberland. Veach? This was arrested in Cumberland Police Department. Skipping. If you're familiar with that one, he received 9 months of jail for one conviction of misdemeanor battery with 276 days served in confinement, and he got 2 years of probation. I don't know if you recall that one. It wasn't your case, but it was in Barron County.
I don't recall that one at all.
Perfect.
I mean, that one, I'm looking at the loud pipe saved lives. I kind of like that one. We support motorcycles. We're not saying don't drive a motorcycle.
What?
I'm saying we support. I mean,
why do you have to say you support? Does someone say you don't support?
Well, no, I just don't want to think that but people need to look twice for motorcycles. It's motorcycle season, obviously. So I don't want there to be a negative. I don't want us to talk about like dolphins and people think, oh, they're driving.
Oh, now we're going to Harley Davidson boycotting. No, I was just saying it was just for me. That was my personal choice. Yeah, they scare the snot out of me. Last one here real quick. This is court sentences man on convictions from Cumberland undercover sex sting, not sexting. James Babler ordered, this is Jason Bowers, to serve a 10-year sentence with 3 years of initial confinement and 7 years extended supervision. This was all because of an undercover sex sting that Jason Bowers of Rochester, Minnesota, he communicated at length about sexual matters with an undercover law enforcement online profile. That would be last year. And he traveled from Minnesota to Cumberland to meet with what he thought was an underage female. So there was no real victim here. And he gets 10-year sentence with 3 years of initial confinement in state prison. What do you think of that?
I love it. I mean, this is, again,
Me too.
what it's about. I mean, this is don't come and do that stuff here. And I think,
or anywhere, but specifically here. Yeah.
But that's what I'm very happy with our court system recently in our high cash bonds. I think we've been begging for that for years. I think we're starting to see it. I think you've seen it, and we haven't talked about it, but I think you've seen some higher cash bonds. I've seen some higher cash bonds. I think that it's going to take a long time to make that effect because people don't realize it. It's like when we start to send people away into prison for meth, and then it trickles down and says, whoa, wait, I don't want to sell meth. I might go to prison instead of just jail. I think that trickle-down effect will have something saying, I'm going to have to spend the whole weekend in jail if I get caught. I'm not going to do that. It's not worth the fight. Whatever the situation is, I think it's going to take time, but we'll get there. And hats off to our court system there.
100%. Our weather professional, Dirk Miller, forecast hot and muggy for the rest of the week, 85 to 90. Ouch. Rain's on the way? What? When? Oh, this weekend. Well, that's okay. It's coming. Stay cool and stay. All right, air conditioners on is what I'm hearing. And some showers this weekend. Hopefully the thunderstorms aren't too bad. Hey, real quick, I know we have a minute and a half left. Molly Parent had asked something in here. I don't know where it is now. Something about a boat landing.
I don't know about
boat landing. Why was law enforcement on D Sun near the boat landing? Do you know anything about that?
Maybe we're having a picnic. I don't know. There was no calls that I know of.
So. If it's not a press release, then, it must not have been too bad. All right. So run your...
We don't have somebody asked about a helmet law.
Oh, do we have a helmet law?
We don't have it. Wisconsin does have a helmet law. It's for kids, but adults don't have to wear a helmet. Lots of comments say, man, this is awesome today. I wish we could...
Yeah, should that more. So stop now. Tell me how many. Can you see at least how many comments?
I looked it up. 127. 127.
So then just give me 3 numbers, and then I will do it. So then you can go because you have to be gone in a minute.
I'll be fine. They can wait.
Well, I'm not. I'm just saying. If you count like 83, I'm not going to sit here live and count 83 times down. It's going to take me.
I did 130. Here we go.
51. Okay. Next. 104. Okay. Good night. I'm going to be here. Wow. It's going to take me about 10 minutes to figure this out. So I will put that in the comments when we're finished with the show. What do you have coming up this week, Fitzy? Obviously, you have a meeting to get to here in a few minutes, but what do you have coming up this week?
this week is my wedding anniversary. So
What?
23 years.
Had a boy?
So, yeah.
All to the same woman?
Yeah.
Wow, that's weird.
Holly's so lucky.
Like, I've had more than you, but that's like 3 different women. So been married 3 times. I mean, how long have we been married cumulatively or just to Jerusha? And by the way, when I went on just now to look at see how many comments we had just on Facebook, I saw that it's Tracy Finch's birthday today. So, Barron County Sheriff Tracy Finch, happy birthday to you.
I'm just reading. If we wanted to learn about a county incident, is there a way to learn about that publicly? All of our stuff gets put on our Facebook page. So, not that Facebook is a go-all, but it's a way that I can reach a lot of people in a short period of time. So follow us on Facebook. We put all of our information on Facebook. And then we share every one of our Facebook. If it's a press release, it goes to the media and our Facebook at the exact same time. So both places get it. Dryden Wire gets it. All of our local TV and radio and everything gets it. And then it goes on our Facebook. So that's how you stay updated with all of the stuff that happens in Barron County.
Which at this point also Dryden Wire, because everything you send, we always end up putting on.
Right. Well, which is a way, because not everybody has Facebook.
Well,
so
that's exactly why we do the same thing. Real quick, people, if they want to get to, isn't the shop? No, not shop the cop. The money goes to donuts. Something. What's it called?
Dash. Yep.
That's coming up when?
That's at the fair. That's not till July, but you can still register. There's a chance that there might be a few extra shirts. The shirt order went in already, but there's a chance that there's a few extra shirts. If you want a shirt, there's still have a chance to get one, but you got to get it in. So sign up for the Donut Dash. We have over 140 runners already. It's going to be a great Saturday morning of the fair. When you get donuts in the middle, donuts at the end, when in July? July, the third Saturday in July.
Third. Oh, we got plenty of time.
22nd of July.
So wow. So another month away.
Yeah, we got another month. But yeah, we had to get the T-shirts order in it. Obviously, with supply chains and everything, it takes longer. So when you have fundraisers, like the Freedom Music Fest and all this other stuff, make sure you get in right away, because they have to order shirts and they have to order their stuff to get ahead of time to beat some of the delays in shipping.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and speaking of, I will give the winner announcements after the show for the last 3. We did an early bird giveaway, so we have 3 more. I have to just go and count 51, 104, and 20. It's going to take me a little while, but I'll put it in the comments.
If your kids are home, that can be their math assignment. Right. Summer school kids, get in.
Fitzy, thanks so much.
Thank you.
For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden, and of course you've been watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. With 20 years of experience, this locally owned and operated business provides quality work both on the inside and on the outside of your home or business. Like Fitzy and I, Brian believes that it's the little things that make a big difference. Give him a call. The number's right there on the screen. See what he can do for you. 715-520-2271. Fitzy and I will be right back here. Oh, I misspelled. I wrote Fizzy and I. Fizzy and I will be right back here next week, when that'll be our last week giving away our 4 tickets to Freedom Music Fest Wisconsin. So until then, thank you for watching and have a blessed day.